welcome to the third episode of Season 4 of Blood Bonding. As you can see, I have with me Leona and Brittany, who play our longest-lived kindred in the coterie. Looking lovely tonight, ladies. How are you?
We're long-lived.
We old as fuck.
Let's keep that going.
I think that's a great idea. So anyway, how do you think Season 5 is going to go? No, I'm kidding. We do have a couple of announcements before we get started. Don't forget to go to rustedicon.net to check out the Renashery Camarilla glasses. There's the nice, large... We have our custom glasses on stage that are also from Rusted Icon. The Renashery Camarilla glasses are a red pint glass with a Renashery Camarilla symbol on them for when you get thirsty. And looking at these ladies, how could you not be thirsty?
Hey.
Go to atlbynight.net for the Lost Child or Play Guide, and make sure you check out our companion links to patreon.com for patreon.com/atlbynight so that you can join our play-by-post server. We've gotten a few new players in the last few days, and we are very excited to see what they start playing as on the server. And make sure you join our fan Discord so you can have lovely conversations about the show with cast, crew, and fans of the ATL by Night show. So, how we doing? Are we excited for Season 5? Are we terrified? What's your thoughts so far?
Yes.
I mean, that nice big old cliffhanger. I don't know, but how do you feel, Leona, about that?
I mean, I feel full.
But
and it would be a good time to remind people that it's going to be spoilery up in here.
Yes, that's true.
Super crazy, mega
We
ultra
will
spoilery.
spoil parts of Season 4. So if you haven't seen Season 4 and you don't want to be spoiled...
Stop watching now.
Make sure you go and watch the videos on YouTube so you can get caught up, and then come back and watch this video on demand when it is up later tonight. But yes, so you were saying.
So I feel full. And we...
For the first time in years, I hear.
Like that? Probably. Like,
yeah, that's Christmas meals.
That was like savage. Like,
that was.
We got to
personal.
do. Yeah, it was very personal. That was great.
It's you know that scene in Aristocats where the little kitten says she could eat a whole elephant? Like, that's what it must feel like.
I feel like I ate an ostrich.
Yeah, I was about to say the equivalent of about that.
Large.
Is it because of the plumage?
Lovely plumage. Yeah, that's for me. I don't know about Mel.
I don't Mel. If you'll have to excuse me for a second. I don't think she ate anything.
No.
She just killed the shit out of some stuff, and that was really good for her super kind of feral bruja that she hasn't really got an opportunity to like really exercise at all. Yeah. Because so much of the character that I wrote was kind of around being like political and diplomatic and being able to like handle certain situations.
She handled it.
Oh, I handled it, yeah. But like, and the thing is that like she has this background that hasn't really been talked about a lot. Being in different situations and different revolutions. Yeah. There isn't really a lot of conversation about anything other than the politics side of it. But there are other sides of these things that she's been a part of that obviously can't happen very often because they only happen during like large times when lots of people are being like slaughtered
or building.
so like this was actually like kind of good for her. Like it sounds terrible, but it was kind of like nostalgic for her in a way, like to kind of get to do some of that like very like just terrible murder, I mean especially people who deserved it,
I actually did have a question about the Mel's history with revolutions, because she's definitely hinted at being involved with multiple revolutions before and has hinted at not a history of violence per se, but a history of involvement in things that ended violently or started violently. Given Mel's history with revolutionaries and fighting for equality, as well as her current position as the Keeper of Elysium, is she torn between representing the Camarilla well and also welcoming members of other political sects, other underworld creatures, other belief systems? Because right now, you are fighting the Sabbat, and while the Sabbat has its problems, which I don't think any of us will deny, especially not Thomasina and Melisende specifically,
no,
it is technically a belief system. It's a toss-up.
So Mel struggled a lot with Bishop Lydia when she approached them in a very seemingly logical and well even keel way, even though she was obviously like totally trying to intimidate us, which didn't work for either of us. But like, in that moment, Mel had a moment of being like, well, that's really, what she's asking for is totally reasonable. Like, why are we trying to kick her out? And then the reminder to Mel is, one, she cannot handle anything religious, like, specifically Christian iconography is, like, huge for her. Like, she cannot do it. She has a terrible past with Catholicism specifically. So any of the stuff that they would do, she probably wouldn't be into. But also knowing that they, like, murder people, and they have murdered people kind of senselessly, and having the background of what happened in Atlanta before, and then also being as close as she is with Anton, like, her sense of justice overrode her sense of equality in that moment, I think. So her need to, like, to even the playing field, and, like, to kind of make sure that people are taken care of, kind of overrode her sense of needing to make sure that it was equal. And as far as Keeper of Elysium, is going to happen often, especially if it has to do with personal issues. Like, if she knows of somebody personally who did something really bad, even if they are coming at it with a kind of a logical way, it's gonna be hard for her to do her job. And that would be really great television, honestly. I mean, that would play out really well, and it would be good for her to, you know, kind of get in some trouble or something like that, like, legitimately. But yeah, she struggles with it, because if somebody's doing something unjust, if somebody's doing something to hold down people who don't deserve it, then it's going to be hard for her to be unbiased and do her job. So that was a long-winded answer, but...
Oh, I mean, that's what this is for. This entire show is for you to answer as you will. I've got plenty of questions. If we don't make them all, that just means it's OnlyFans content.
That's true.
So that's sort of, you know, people who hold people down sort of leads directly into Ventru.
What?
So this is the first time we've really seen Thomasina use violence directly. We know... where was it? Oh, here we go. And it's only the second instance we've seen a diablerie on ATL by night. The first instance being when Cirrus... Yeah,
don't you remember? You're the second one. Cirrus was the first.
I thought he'd done other diablerie for some reason. It's like, nah, he's done that, like...
Well, I think he's done other diablerie, but not at the table. So he's only done one at the table, and that was Catherine.
Yeah, because I thought during one of them,
it's been suggested that, no.
Did he not diablerize some of the people in the woods during the...
Wait, he drained one of the soldiers. That's what
I think he drained them, but he didn't.
Oh, you're right. I don't think he did either.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Because you can drink them down, you can drink them dead and then not diablerize them. You can make that choice. Diablerie is a whole, it's a choice. You don't have to do it.
Of course.
Does Thomasina have a history with diablerie? Was this an ambitious thing, or was this personal with that specific character that you chose to diablerize her?
It was personal. Like, the minute Ellie told me that this was Tabitha's secretary, there was not only, I mean, initially, surface level, there's betrayal. This is, you know, a trusted, you know, person within the orders. But beyond that, there was this just foolhardy idea that was immediate. It was going to be me at some point going into Tabitha's office and going, "You missing somebody?"
Are you missing something?
Yeah, because Tabitha also hasn't been super forward with me or with Thomasina. And part of that is just Ventrus they come with some difficulties in terms of how you want to play them, because it's either going to be, you have to be very comfortable with having other people do your work, or you have to, right?
Me playing a Ventru villain on the server.
Yes. But you have to make it interesting. Like, I mean, I picked Ventru entirely because I was very new to this, and mechanically speaking, I was still really kind of getting to know a lot. But if you want to talk, if you want to kind of get through things and kind of get things in order and start to learn things, like, I highly recommend pursuing a character as Ventru. And so with Tabitha, I'm not exactly sure where Ellie's taking her, and so I'm very nervous on, like, where does she now fall on all of this?
Yeah.
Because the suspicion is strong. But Thomasina does have a history with diablerie. I mean, she's a blood leech as it is. There's an aspect of what she does that she knows is always a choice. It is an option. She's drained significantly more than she's ever diablerized. And she did not have that stain on her when we started all of this. She did not have that stain on season 1. But there's other.
And I know players of the Play-by-Post server might have a hint towards some of that history.
Correct.
If they read through a couple of Thomasina's scenes.
And there's not a lot yet. And
We're on there, damn it.
Right, yeah. And it's the tricky thing, too, of like,
there's a couple Brujah now on the server as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get on there.
There's
get on there, man.
There's I think 2 Brujah players on the server, and one's even an Anarch.
Yeah, definitely get on there for sure.
Do it.
Yeah.
Which sort of leads into another question. So, Brujah have not always gotten along with the Camarilla, obviously, for obvious reasons. Has Mel had any history with the Anarchs? Does she have any thoughts on Alpha offering up College Park for Anarchs? Where does she sort of swing on that?
So here's the thing. The bottom line for Mel, and this is like really good information for like anybody watching to have, and really good information, I guess, kind of meta information for players, is that if she does not know that you have done something against somebody who didn't deserve it, then she's going to give you the benefit of the doubt out the gate, right? So Thomasina and her have many years of history, like kind of passing each other in various times and places. And she knows some of Thomasina's like kind of darker dealings, but she doesn't know all of them. And I think that were some of that to come out, it would be a real problem. Like, I think they would have some real issues. Because then it would be, in Mel's mind, it would be like, you did something to somebody who didn't deserve it, and now I need to rectify that. I need to,
I will
level the
say
scales.
it will probably come out more to Thomasina aided people who were grotesque and she didn't mind.
Yeah.
And that's,
And that's a little bit easier for Mel to swallow, but still, it's going to be a thing. Like,
it shouldn't be.
It's going to be a thing. But all that to say, without having direct knowledge of the individual kindred having done something that was unjust, then it's to her, it's like, yeah, everybody should be able to live, equally and in the same space. And of course, she's absolutely had run-in with Anarchs. She's probably, I'm trying to think if she's ever been in an Anarch society. I mean, she's just been in so many places.
Yeah.
The answer is she feels fine with Alpha doing it. I mean, it's first of all, he's the prince, so her while she does not like just cow down to any sort of authority just in general, she actually really trusts, and maybe it's a foolhardy thing, but she trusts him, and she believes in Alpha. Like she truly believes that he has decent intent. Because he's had a lot of opportunities.
Not good intent, just decent.
Yeah. He hasn't done anything to hurt anybody intentionally. Like, what he has done is just, he's very selfish, but he's not doing anything to hurt kindred. In fact,
he hasn't done anything to hurt someone unjustly.
Yeah, unjustly.
Yes. To our knowledge.
Yeah. So, I mean, and, Anarchs, they have, like you said, it's just a different belief system, really. So, until she has a reason to hate and want something bad happen to somebody, I think she's just gonna...
So this brings up an interesting question that I think both of you could answer. Do your characters believe that people or kindred are redeemable?
Oh, yeah.
Totally. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And
are you talking about, like, the Golconda route, or are you talking about, like, just...
I think, no, if you're looking for, like, complete, redemption and salvation, that's not something that Thomasina concerns herself with, for sure. But there's definitely... She hasn't found that there's a specific utter damnation or salvation, either in human life or in kindred life. So there's just doing better or doing worse as much as there ever was. Now, how that's going to be reflected in the loss of one of her humanity points going forward will be fun.
That was actually one of the questions one of the viewers had.
Yeah.
It was talking about Thomasina's lost humanity point.
Yes.
Because she's now at where we started in season 1.
Yeah. But she's also freshly fed. So it's going to be...
She's like a cat, where she's just not hungry right now.
Right, yeah. I did have a couple of conversations with Ellie about ideas that I had. what I wanted to do going forward, and is this the kind of dark that we're okay with? So yeah, there's a specific plan about how to play that, and that'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting. But I think as far as like redemption, because both of us have seen, like, we've seen leaders come and go that have been,
I mean, you've both been here during Talbot's reign.
Yeah.
And as far as Mel is concerned, knowing that he was blood bonded in a way that you know very likely he did not have as much control over himself as he might have had.
Yeah.
Outside of being contractually obligated, like, I don't really know that Mel would have been that into like just outwardly murdering him, except for the fact that he had done things to other people at that point that it was easy for her to be upset with.
Yeah.
Have we figured out who blood bonded him? Do you have theories?
I mean, Lysombra, I would think, because they were such a big part of that whole thing.
Yeah, but now we've got some questions as to, like, there are options for that, because we know that there were multiple Lysombra at some point.
Yeah.
Or we were told that there were multiple Lysombra at some point.
Granted, that mentioned.
That intel, I think, is from Cirrus, so... Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's... Yeah,
when he showed up covered in blood, having gained a humanity point.
Right.
Having not murdered his wife.
And something interesting for Mel, like, I think a really good indication of Mel's ability to believe that somebody's redeemable is that had she been at the Puppet Museum, I don't really know that she would have been as quick to murder Catherine. Now, I can't say for sure because Mel wasn't there, so I can't it wouldn't be fair to like say for certain because I don't know how it would have how she would have been affected by what was happening, given her powers and given her ability to like discuss things, and her seeing her Mel watching Thomasina just being taken over wouldn't have been something that just like sent her off. It would have been like, okay, somebody's using their powers, they're abusing them, we need to try to talk them off their ledge, get them to stop. Like that would have been Mel's thought, like, they're abusing their power, that she wasn't physically harming you necessarily in a way that you could be not got out of it. I know that's one of your personnel, like your...
I mean, that kind of manipulation was very, very much just...
I know. For Thomasina, but from Mel's point of view, it's somebody got in your head. So what? Get over it. Like,
so if she didn't agree to talk, would you have thrown a bunch of tea into like Lake Piedmont?
You're so funny. No, I don't know. I don't really. Again, I don't know how Mel would have handled it because every kind of things would have been a little bit different. And I think it actually worked out really good for the storyline that she wasn't there because she got an opportunity to use the mom voice, which is kind of like. Was the thing that kind of started her kind of like leadership of the group, and now it's changed into something very different. So I feel like she does believe in redemption, given with caveats, and I have no idea. I think she would have let Catherine live, but I can't say for sure,
So this is an interesting question. We've sort of danced around it. I know I've seen Leona's faces when the Sabbat gets mentioned. Do either of your characters have experiences or history with the Sabbat? Have you experienced the Sabbat or been near or around or victim to, in the case of like certain members of Kindred Society, the Sabbat?
Mel has not been victim of the Sabbat, but she was as Kine, she was a victim of Catholic persecution. So, like, religion in general, like, is something, obviously, like, Catholicism is something that she is, like, it's one of her main, bane isn't the word, I can't think of the word right now, but...
it's her folklore.
Bane, folkloric bane, or
yeah, okay,
law.
so it is one of, it's like, her, like, main bane is that. So, when she became Kindred, she was aware and had been around enough areas in which they dwelled, but personally, she did not experience... any violent run-ins with the Sabbat. I mean, because she's been able to kind of infiltrate a lot of different societies and a lot of different camarillas and a lot of different, communities. But she has never been a part of Sabbat because of her absolute banging against religion in general, but specifically Catholicism and their kind of Catholic-y sort of way of being,
Yeah.
So...
Thomasina, funny enough, like she's still to some degree a practicing Catholic, and it's.
She's a lapsed Catholic, as I hear many Catholics are.
I mean, yes, but she's also. I mean, she still very much considers faith to be there for anyone who wants it. It's just that with the Sabbat, it's not faith by choice. She doesn't see it that way.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it for
yeah.
now too.
It's very like
it's indoctrination. It's very much like a cult kind of. Yeah, it's very cultish.
And so she's dealt with other cults, but she has like her.
Feel free to elaborate.
It may come up at other times, but she's. I will say that the first place that she ran to after her first diablerie was Egypt. And that came with issues.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I can see issues with that.
So when she was there while I believe he's still the Prince of Cairo, Mukhtar Bey, who is a caitiff prince.
And that was when you first met the council, right? Was in Egypt?
Yes. But her run-ins there are to be uncovered for the most part. But that was weirdly appealing for her. A lot of what was going on in Egypt. And especially when we've been trying to answer the question about what happens with a Ventru who does not have money. There are a lot of things that Ventrus don't not have money. They at least always have influence. And when you have neither of those things, that can be something that goes right into the hands of the Sabbat. She hasn't only for lack of representation.
Because money is not the only capital.
Right. She hasn't fallen with them only for lack of representation where she's been. And that's to the best. She's really...
So she would if she had the opportunity, is what you're telling me.
She would have at one point.
Would she now?
No, absolutely not. The reason that she probably wouldn't at this point is that's immediately a feeling that any power that she would have would be taken away from her.
Yeah, I get that. Totally
and
get that.
she's still at least laboring under the delusion that like she clearly has power and influence with the Camarilla, and it's it's gonna stay that way. Why would they ever use her like that? So
why would they ever get rid of me? I'm so well behaved.
I am indispensable. So yeah, no, with the Sabbat, there's not been enough representation in her past, but there's been other stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So the council has been an interesting addition this season.
That was so cool. That was so
That
cool.
was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah,
as an antagonist. Very interesting character.
Yeah.
What was your least favorite? Like, what question did you hate answering the most from the council?
So one of the things, Thomasina, one of her touchstones is she must be true to her word. So, like, especially with the council, there's not a lot of double talk that you can really have, which is what made that such an excruciating and beautiful experience. So when the council asked whether there was any intention for Thomasina to stay in Atlanta, and she said no, it kind of surprised me a little bit, where it was, I'm aware that what's going on with Thomasina has always been, if she feels like she's losing ground, she needs to go find it somewhere else. And that's consistently been tested in this show of just like a lot of stuff here is kind of being taken out from under her. So yeah, when Ellie asked that, the no just came out and it was like, oh my god, that's right, she doesn't want to stay here if there's not a lot there for her. But that value system is kind of constantly in flux, so she doesn't intend to stay there. She doesn't intend to stay in Atlanta, but she does intend to maintain control and maintain her own kind of rule where she can. And if that's Atlanta for much longer, then great. If it's not, then it's not. So.
Remind me of the question, because I got so enraptured by what you were saying. I was like...
The most difficult, hardest.
Oh
The
yeah,
question
okay,
you
all
hated
right.
the
So
most.
Question you hated the most.
so Mel is not above lying. Obviously, like she can lie if she needs to. Her
I like that, like true to her word, lying, I guess.
whatever. Like yeah. So but it has
Keeps
to.
me alive.
Yeah, it has to be purposeful. It has to like have. It cannot hurt somebody. It has to be to gain like benefit for somebody else. Like it's all a very like calculated sort of thing. And the question about how we voted in the new prince was very hard for her to answer because
Yeah.
she does have legal background. Like she is not licensed with the bar, and she did not go to law school because while she's done a lot of stuff and she has decent money, she just never found the time or the inclination really because she was able to do a lot of what lawyers can do without actually going to law school and getting the bar exam. Also, she's very old. So she's read all the books. She's done all the research. She's like, really like...
She's a great above a Google lawyer.
Yeah. You might as... Who needs Westlaw? Like, just ask Mel and she'll be able to answer, like,
I was there when they wrote them.
Yeah, I was in the courtroom for that,
Were
but
you
like...
in the room where it happened?
Totally. She was
Actually,
as a matter of fact, she fucking was.
but
So all of that to say, that question was very hard for her to answer because like the lawyer, like legal background of her was like, I can definitely answer this and be telling the truth, but also not the truth. Like it's the truth, but it's not going to get us killed because does the council kill people? Like, I don't know. So Mel having to answer that, especially after having our like powwow in the kitchen where you were like, don't do this. And then Aaron was like, well, but I did this. And everybody's like, you did what? So Mel had to amalgamate all these different pieces of information to like come up with a decent legal argument that like fills in the block of I'm not telling a lie, but I'm also not really telling the truth. So that was definitely the hardest part. Mel does not ever feel intimidated by somebody questioning her in that way. Like that is not a thing. Like being asked about what happened is not a thing. But when her answer could possibly lead to somebody else's harm, that is when it becomes too hard for her. And that was something that could have led to other people's harm. Yeah. And if it was her, she cares about her life, but not over somebody else's life necessarily. Sure, yeah. So the fact that her word could have been used to like hurt everybody in the Camarilla was like, it was a big deal for her. That was the hardest one for sure.
Mm-hmm. And so kind of touching on the election, you've gotten to see Alpha in his position as prince for a couple months now. Mm-hmm. How does it compare to how you thought Alpha would perform before the election? And how does expanding to the rest of the inner council and inner circle, how have the rest of the team, as it were, the other harpy, the seneschal, how has it turned out as compared to your pre-election ideas?
Honestly, like there's nothing that's surprised me. There's nothing that has really shocked me. Just like this is all great. Good job, I guess. Alpha was always going to be a great leader. Thomasina knew that. The problem was that he wasn't necessarily going to let her in on what he was doing, and that bothered her. Mm-hmm. Because he was just going to have his ideas, minimal communication, maximum effect, without ever cluing her in. Like, she either has to be with him all the time to really take advantage of any of that, or just slowly build up intel on what's going on to be able to take advantage of that. So yeah, he's great, he's fine, she just feels left out. That's it. The team overall, like, she doing great. Seneschal doing great. Honestly, Dot's doing great. But what a bitch. And I, like, when we talked about...
The sheriffs are doing great.
Sheriffs?
I mean, not the sheriffs, the scourges.
Georgina and Cirrus.
So I was saying, we had two scourges?
Clean in house.
Yeah, they are. No, good job.
Yes.
Sheriff is great. Sheriff is doing gangbusters. He's great. Yes. Bless his heart. Yeah. But, yeah, no, the issue that I've had more with all of this was, yes, if Dot had been elected prince, that would have been all eyes on her. Like, personally, I will say this. I'm still ignorant enough of what powers are especially ascribed to a prince under any circumstances that would have given her anything she wouldn't have had otherwise. Because as Harpy, she still had all of that influence. She still had plenty of money. She still had plenty of resources. And in fact, now you had more people looking at Alpha and going like, ooh, what's he doing? And just like, no, but look at this. She is so duplicitous and so smart, and I love her, but so duplicitous. Like, I knew that there was another agenda, but like, Thomasina generally looks at everyone's whatever they're doing and goes, well, okay, they clearly have an agenda. Some of those just happen to line up with what I want to do. Dot, I knew it wasn't fully in my interest, but I didn't know it was going to be that bad.
Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna need
And
everybody.
you have 1 minute to retort.
I'm gonna need everybody in the chat to cool it with the "I told you so"s, and I want everybody
are
at
you
the
looking
table.
at the chat right now? I don't watch.
I
No,
am
she
not
can
looking at
just
the
see
chat.
it.
I just know, and I also want everybody who ever sits at this table to cool it with the "I told you so"s, because Mel is all about leaders with vision, and she's all about leaders who want to be leaders, and she's all about leaders who see places that need reform and are willing to make the changes. Yeah. She does not like people that are okay with the status quo. She does not like people who just listen to what others have said just because they said it.
Yeah.
So her appeal in Dot was that Dot literally was like, I see a problem. Here's how I propose to change it. Obviously, Mel didn't do a great job at the foresight on that one.
Well, I mean, like, because especially...
And really, she hasn't been great at foresight. I mean, some of the revolutions that she's led didn't lead to great outcomes. Like, I mean, America's kind of doing shit right now. I'm just kidding. It's not.
We're trying.
Yeah, we're trying.
Not hard.
We're trying. But
we'll edit that out in post.
Yeah, no. But like, no. I'm just. But in her mind, you know, there's a lot of injustice and a lot of inequality right now. So it's like, but
she had a plan. Like, Dot had a plan.
Yeah, and that really resonated with Mel. I get why now. Maybe it didn't resonate with everybody else, but for her it was like. And Mel sees a lot of problems in the Constitution or in the Renasher Camarilla too. Like she sees a ton of there are tons of loopholes. There are tons of opportunities for people to take advantage, which already we're seeing happening.
And I mean, there was one of our fans was talking to me about why people, especially when they are really adept, capable people, especially in any leadership position, and someone comes in and goes, I see these problems, I see these solutions, I've made these decisions already, like I have a fully fledged plan. And you look at that and you go, oh my God, that would be amazing. I don't have to do all the work for once. It is very attractive.
It is.
Very attractive. So,
it is. And then outside of that, she respects Alpha highly. Mostly because he has not done anything to hurt anybody. He has actively gone out of his way to accept and to integrate the clans that normally wouldn't be a part of it, obviously himself included, so that it benefits him and his clan. Yeah.
So do you think Atlanta will be the next Carthage?
do you?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to see those faces.
I think... Okay, so anyways, no, but I
can't
do...
wait for you to ask about our bedrooms. This is going to be great. Go on.
Okay, so, everybody's doing a great job. So Mel also has a history with Dot, not as personally integrated as Anton was, but I mean, like, she's been a part of the Primogen, like, she's been working with the Primogen for so long and so heavily that she knows Dot pretty well, and she knows some of the other Primogen pretty well. And while she knew Dot to kind of take advantage of situations in a certain way, she personally couldn't have foreseen this. Mel is usually a good judge of character. She's not always a great judge of character. Sometimes she's fighting for the wrong dog in the fight, but she'll fight until she dies or somebody else dies. And her
mostly when somebody else,
right? And yes, it is
way.
always when somebody else dies. But in her case, you know, Dot has taken care of a classically underserved race. Like, I mean, I hate to say that in that way, but like she's taken care
of. The Nosferatu are an underserved clan in a lot of the modern knights.
And Atlanta has a lot to offer them, especially with that. Yeah.
And Dot has taken such great care of them. She's provided them this excellent place to live. She's given them great places to work. Like, she really has risen this underserved class to this higher area. So
and she does have a shitload of vision. I mean,
and she cares. She cares about her people. Now, what that has turned into is something that Mel obviously could not have foreseen because she's not great at that. But you know, it just
revolution now, thinking later.
Yeah.
So brutal.
Yeah. So, and then everybody else has done great. Everybody else has done exactly what she expected. I mean, really, everybody has been fulfilling their duties. You know what I mean? I think if anybody she thinks that she herself has not done as good of a job. Because think about how many things have happened on her fucking watch. Like
I feel like that's. I mean,
a
Denise would
window
probably say the
breaking at
same
Waffle
thing.
House really isn't that big a deal.
yeah, but like by the rules though, like by the rules, like she's a very like at least in that case she'll follow the letter.
Maybe she just needs to kill more people. I don't know. Like, just get scary. That's all I can say.
Well, and again, the us having an opportunity to kill people was good for Mel too because she doesn't do that often. So it was like getting a little bit of that frustration out. I'm sorry, we ended up rambling
you're
a
good.
little bit,
I mean, this show is about rambling and talking about your characters. It's not about like I was kidding about the 1 minute limit. That was just a debate.
Oh, okay.
For all the people who did debate in the chat, that's who that joke was for.
Yeah.
Oh.
Gotta feel like there's at least 5, at least.
There's gotta be. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Zach did debate. So like.
I was in mock trial for 6 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he was in some like secret society or something.
That we know
debated
about.
each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Zach.
I have other friends who are also part of the secret society, but it's not so secret. But yeah, I think everyone's been doing what they've been told. I thought I was going to, if I was going to do anything, I thought it was going to be more in line with the Seneschal. And I think that, oh my God, I've lost her name completely.
Alima.
Thank you.
Oh, I love her too.
Yeah.
buddy.
It's like
love
literally,
her.
I'm terrible with names, but I have I have a bias towards Alima.
Oh, don't we all?
Our court
sure.
is pretty bangerang. Let's be real.
It is a great court.
It's a great court.
Now it just needs to not have one really bad
The court's
infiltrator.
also very hot. Like, let's be honest. Like, there's a lot of very attractive members of the court of Atlanta. Are we doing herbal essences now?
Yeah.
Just gonna
look at her
they
hair,
have
for
a-
God's sake.
herbal
Yes.
Why did I
essences.
curl it today? This was curled.
Because,
Doesn't
I mean, given the weather, between the pollen and the humidity, it was going to just have its own decisions.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you mentioned the room question. We've asked this
Yeah.
on previous episodes. So I believe it was one of the fans who asked it.
Yeah.
So Sirius's, where is it? Sirius's room appears to be plain. We don't know if it is, but it appears to be with really good perception checks. So probably.
Yeah.
What personal touches do y'all have in your rooms in your haven in the mansion?
Okay, so Mel has a 4-poster bed because it's very much what she, remembers. Now, she hasn't always had means, but, like, it reminds her of times where she had the opportunity to, like, be in places where she could sleep that had those kind of beds. So she has a 4-poster bed. Lots of, like, kind of warmish wood color. So whatever the floor is, she probably just had it varnished, like, kept it, bare and varnished.
Does it look like those early 1800s, like,
Yes.
bedrooms that they have in
Yes.
museums with
Very much. I'm like in my head. I'm like seeing like either one of the bedrooms from Biltmore, or
Sure.
like, but not as rich. Like just like old timey and not expensive stuff. Like it could have been stuff that got
Have you
bought
been
off.
to Miami? There's this house museum called Vizcaya that has a couple of rooms that are. My sister lives in Miami, which is why I even have been there.
Yeah.
But there's this house museum called Vizcaya, and I'm picturing one of those rooms because it's not like wealthiest of the wealth upper crust, but it was like merchant. I think he was like merchant class in like the late 1800s,
Yeah.
and so he decorated like someone who had come into wealth and grew up in the mid 1800s.
Yeah. Well, and really. I say all that to say, like, it's not like a rich room. It doesn't look rich. Like her bedspread is probably like an IKEA, like comfy IKEA
but
duvet.
like a bookshelf,
Definitely,
a desk.
she has a desk. The desk is something that would have been expensive, even if it was a hand-me-down that was refinished.
A nice, like, what we would call today a full-size bed, essentially, because they didn't have, like, queen-size beds.
Yeah,
until
about
the
that.
Mid-1950s.
Yeah. And then, of course, it
Here
has...
for your bed history.
She would have side tables, a bookshelf, obviously, the desk. It's...
Any specific, like, paintings? Especially now that I think y'all picked up the painting.
Did we
at
buy
the
the
auction?
paintings? We did, didn't we?
I was given a price by Bishop Lydia.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I picked that up.
Do you get a discount now? Like the I killed most of your PAX discount?
Get 2 paintings free? God, I hope so, yeah.
I think if Mel had anything, she'd probably have, like... I know she has a poster of John Lewis that's signed, for sure. Probably, like, God, I don't know. Like, I don't really see Mel having a ton of art because I think she would see it as frivolous and like something
a copy of like Letter of a Freedman or whatever.
Maybe something like that, or like if she had anything, it would be like a copy, like a printed copy of the fucking Constitution or something. Like it would be something like silly, like not actually art. Because I think for her, like, especially after having seen that one image, I've had an opportunity to kind of get right with how Mel would consider art of that time, and I do not think it's something that she would personally want to own or see, like to be reminded, despite the fact that it wasn't. I mean, it was terrible when she was kind, but when she became kindred, it wasn't as terrible. I just don't see that as something she would want to see. So, like, countryside images and, like, you know, paintings of Paris and that kind of thing, or anywhere else that she's been, I don't see that as being her thing.
It's like the Library of Congress. Just you have like
there you go. Yes.
You have like one of those like random walls that's got the info just printed on it all the way down.
Yes, she has the Renashe Camarilla up like, you know, the mall maps. Like she's got that on her wall like a mall map. No, she doesn't really. But cool. No, I'm thinking remember old like 90s mall maps where they're just like pasted with the light behind it. And,
I was thinking like one that had at least like the cycled like different pages.
Actually, the cycled ones would be kind of funny with the just first page of the Renashe Camarilla scroll. Second
actually,
page.
that would be
you
baller.
Violated this law.
No, so that you know she's got that and she got her computer and that's really it. Like I don't. Usually her desk is pretty cluttered. I mean, no pictures really to speak of. Yeah, that's what I would see. Oh, I take that back. She does have one picture, and it's not like posted anywhere. It's like on like the bedside table, but not like on the bedside table. It's the printed image of us when we were at Six Flags.
Oh yeah.
So it's in like the chintzy little Six Flags thing, like that opens up. You know, like she has it somewhere over there.
Yeah, got one of those little like paper frames that they have.
Yes,
on
the paper
coasters.
frame. Exactly. Yes, that is somewhere near her bedside. Yeah.
That's precious.
Yeah. Right. Isn't that sweet?
It'll be even better once you kill each other.
Yeah.
Best friends.
I keep my guilt with me.
Oh God! I didn't even think about that. Oh God! Ooh, if that ever happened,
have this forever.
I also DM.
Yeah. Oh. We also make noises together. So Thomasina her room is both surprisingly and unsurprisingly Spartan. It is. Everything in her closet is in a garment bag. It's all black garment bags. She knows what's in them. They are itemized. Like, there's cards for what goes in what. And then there is, in the closet...
I feel like I relate to her closet on a different level.
For real, though.
There's all of the hangers are cedar. And there is a craftsman, stacked toolbox full of her jewelry.
I love that.
With hair items.
Which size craftsman? Because I know toolboxes.
You're talking about the 4-footer.
5 foot, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are things.
Those ones that are always on sale at Home Depot.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. No, I know exactly which one. It's like green or red. It only comes in
red.
colors.
Totally red. Yeah, totally red.
So this one also this is just what she has that's not in any of the banks or any of the other safety deposits that she has. So she has that in her closet. Bed is it's black cotton, and there's one there's a silk cover. There's a black silk cover, but that's just black silk. And then over by the window there is I forget the name of it. Oh my gosh, it is the stacked set where you would put prayer candles in a chapel.
Yeah. Like the little
Altar.
It's like an altar, but yeah.
The little risers, but for candles.
Yeah, but there's this there's a it's an oak or not oak. Sorry, this is a cherry wood one that she purchased, and this one is from a chapel in Ireland that just has a long history, and it's just a really lovely piece that she's had bought because
I didn't know the chapel sold those.
They don't.
Oh, okay.
She didn't get them from the chapel. She got it from someone who got it from the chapel. So she
Nicolas
does.
Cage.
But she does have She does have prayer candles there. But other than her clothes, she also has a desk, and she has a small filing cabinet. But she does not keep a lot on hand if she doesn't have to. She's there's blackout curtains but it's fairly utilitarian, except for that little stack of prayer candles. And that stack of prayer candles, like she knows her
How many of
feast.
them are lit?
As of today, or the last time she was there, let's see, that would have been beginning of March.
Yeah, it would have been 3 weeks ago.
It would have, yeah. So we were in Lent. So let's see.
No, I don't think we'd hit Lent yet. I think
we
we
not?
hit.
We were a week behind in real life, right?
We're
Ish.
somewhere in there.
I don't know how time works.
So she does, like, she observes, like, certain feast days and prays to, like, certain saints on behalf of family members that she remembers that haven't been there for a long, long time, including many people that were part of her staff back when she was kind, for, like, the last few years that she was kind. And there's a number of people that were in her life that having to let go of that, like, that was her rule, that was her domain when she was kind. Like, she had rule over this massive house of ill repute, but it was a very well-run house, and there was plenty coming in and out, and she gave place to a lot of people, a lot of work, a lot of quarter, a lot of opportunity.
And she knew all her people by name.
She did.
Yeah.
She knew their kids. She knew where their kids were. She employed several of those
Was
kids.
it a mafia knowing their kids and where their kids were, or was
She
it
employed the kids. They were runners, because this was, so Mel, this was Reign of Terror child. Thomasina was at the height of her wealth as a kind, while Napoleon was in Spain, was coming through. And that ended up meaning that she had difficulty getting a lot of what she normally would order, be that communication or supplies, or just really decadent foods or anything like that, that she could then sell. And a lot of these kids, that if they weren't directly related to anyone that she was employing, she would then pay for them to just also be able to add income to the household. But they would run things. They knew how to get around Talavera. They knew how to get around the river. They knew how to get around a lot of the boats. They knew who was coming in and out and when.
And people tend to be less likely to kill a child. Like
Yeah, and they could hide beautifully. So she prays on behalf of a lot of them still. But other than that, it's really dark and it's really clean.
So it's what, like 30 candles, 20 candles?
15.
15? Okay.
Yeah. Right now, yeah.
Speaking of fire.
Oh, God.
If your characters had one night with no disasters happening, no fires put out, nothing, how would they spend that night?
Oh.
I
mean, we did Deep Space Nine, right? I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, so that was just that time because of it was like a time that we needed to let off steam, like in that particular moment. And Mel really wanted to bond with the group because we bond in the fire.
Bond.
Yeah, like, oh God.
It's just us, like, in for a night watching Lower Decks.
Like, honestly, Mel is, like, so obsessed with, like, doing the job and not necessarily doing it for anybody other than, like because it requires doing. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to be done. So she'd probably do a lot of, like, research or getting caught up because, like, how much time do we have nowadays for, like, actually doing our jobs? Like, you don't get to do a ton of your job. I don't get to do a ton of my job. Because we've just been putting out a lot of fires.
It's how you do it. But in your case,
it's a little harder for Mel because she needs to be a little more hands-on, needs to be a little more present, and, like, she can't be as much when we're doing shepherdy stuff.
Yeah.
I think she would do work, and I think that if, like, she had her druthers to spend the time with other people, especially her, coterie, it would be like a nice dinner party where they all had an opportunity just to sit around and just be, get to just
dinner
sit
party.
there and be. I mean, come on. You
Y'all
know
are
what the
dinner.
fuck I meant, okay? Like just sitting at the table and chit-chatting and...
Just call a few friends over, have some snackies.
I mean, we could do that, too. if I'm sure Mel can arrange that. Yeah. So, but I mean, like, just having an opportunity just to sit around and, like, not talk about anything heavy, just kind of just shoot the shit. Kind of like the couple times that we've had the opportunity to do that, where we just sit around and kind of just are ourselves.
Have the coterie play D&D together.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we've ever had time to do that, have we?
No.
Not since we've been together. as far as our lives are concerned, like length time, like we've been with the coterie for like a blink of an eye, you know?
Yeah, it's very
And every
true.
moment of it has been filled with catastrophe, you know? So like...
So Mel is usually the moral center of the party, of the coterie. I don't think that's debatable. I think we all pretty much agree.
No.
Mel's usually the moral center. What is Mel's take, and feel free to chime in as well, on Lydia's description of what Tilly does at the Lost Childer School?
Ooh.
Okay, all right. So let's get into this real quick.
We're rolling up the sleeves.
Yeah, so Mel is really, really into education in general. Like, she's always been all about, like, get people educated. If they have the information, they can make better decisions. That's the bottom line. If you educate, people can make better decisions. Her experience in Olivia's school has been that these kindred, these poor lost kindred, are being educated in such a way that they can operate inside of their clans and where their clans are going to give them more of their moral kind of education, kind of how to behave, kind of that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. She does not work at the school. She does not spend a lot of time at the school. She's close with all the primogens. So she's close with Olivia. She was close with Elijah, just kind of in because she needed to be. So her experience has not been that it's been indoctrination. Her experience has been that it is education. I mean, the times that we've walked in on classes, it's been them learning something as simple as how to feed, or as you know, intricate as the history of what happened with the Sabbat in the 70s or whenever it happened. And I mean, it just feels like a school to her. Given that the Sabbat kind of color everything very much like us versus them, it would make sense to Mel that is the way that somebody who is incredibly biased would portray Olivia's teaching. The torturing part of it.
Well, Tilly's role, though, specifically.
Right, yeah. Tilly. So,
because Olivia is all about presentation, and Olivia would, I believe Olivia would probably make a point to try and teach them as much as possible, but Tilly...
I mean...
I also know the name of what she's doing, which is why I'm trying to tiptoe around it.
I mean, like, it's very clear, at least for Thomasina, that school has always represented mutually opportunity for kindred to be able to kind of thrive on their own, because it definitely gives them that. But it is very conditional. It's very agenda driven, and that's like, you can still have kindred that would be able to thrive outside of it.
It's like a church school, essentially, with slightly less indoctrination, but
slightly. That's the Tilly point that we're coming up here against. Yeah. We haven't had the whole thing of exactly what it is.
Yeah, if we can't see it for Mel, if she can't see it, I don't know if she would really believe what.
Oh, but like Thomasina fully believes it. She fully believes that that's what's going on and is not shocked. But because it's still kind of serving an expectation.
Has Thomasina encountered something similar in the past?
Yeah.
I was going to say, like...
Yeah. Like, it's...
You mentioned that she was in a cult at one... Or, well... she encountered cults.
She has hands-on experience.
She flirted with cults.
Man and how. But she's not shocked. She's not surprised. And it is gruesome. It doesn't have to be. It may not be for absolutely every one of them. But it is... still very, very much, she believes that is absolutely what's going on. And she, without knowing exactly how that folds into what Olivia's doing and who else agreed to this and what's going on.
And whether Anton's aware even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without that, like, she's not planning to touch that yet.
Mel doesn't believe it. I don't think Mel believes that's happening. I think it would be... And if she were to find out that it were happening, oh, buddy, I really don't know how to handle that now. I mean, as a, like, meta as a player, I'm not really sure how Mel would do that, because it just conflicts with so many of her tenets and her touchstones, like
that she's even been delivering people to.
Ooh, buddy. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know that it would be good, but Mel also, I don't know. I really don't know. I can't answer that, because Mel right now doesn't believe it. Mel does not believe it.
Yeah, we'd have another long talk with Jackson, I think. And just like, because, I mean, between Jackson and Anton, I think, are the two that we've got. Well, I don't think that Aaron really had much to do with Tilly.
Aaron went to the school, but
Yeah.
my understanding is that he was wandering in the woods and he came to Atlanta and he joined up at the school, and that was sort of, it was not a we found you, go.
There was no reprogramming of that one, I don't believe.
No.
And that's what I understand to be what's happening.
Ooh, I just thought about something. What if that was what was meant to happen if Catherine hadn't died? Like, if maybe that was something we were meant to see as a coterie earlier on.
Because Catherine was also Tilly's child.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bitch.
Yep.
Ooh, I don't know. Oh man, Mel probably would be dead by now. I just don't know. I'm like so.
It is really convoluted. It's so fun.
I'm so struck by this. Oh my god, if she were to see that, I don't even know what would happen.
If Mel finds out, she just goes in and she just puts a single scratch on the corner of every tile in Tilly's house.
That's
no, Mel would burn shit is what she would do.
Yeah,
like,
we're gonna have to hold her back if she finds out what's going on and just like, nope, torpor. Like, we're gonna have a long conversation about this first. Yeah,
I don't know. I really don't know.
I think you'd go AWOL.
I'm pretty sure.
It's Edward Junk Drawer Hands would come out again.
Oh, it'd be worse than that.
She
It would be worse than that.
Like, one hand is junk drawer, the other hand is just holding Anton.
No.
And just like, do the fire thing.
No, Mel is
Throw Anton on fire.
Just yeet him. Yeah.
Mel's powers have like exponentially increased. So like yeah, because I kind of stack stuff when we get points.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't, but I do. I kind of like.
Saving stuff up so you can buy bigger stuff is totally.
I'm just gonna buy all the shit. I'm just gonna buy everything in this one thing. I'm just gonna buy it all.
She played skee ball for 4 seasons. She's gonna get the big stuffed animal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Literally that exactly.
Time to buy that 5-dot war sheet item.
Yeah. So like, I mean, obviously all the Primogen are really, really powerful too. So I don't really know if it would be an even match at all. But Mel would want to fuck some shit up for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. If she believed that and she saw it happen, she'd fuck shit up. Yeah. Ooh, God, I don't even want to think about it right now.
On a lighter note.
Good.
Yes.
What were your characters like as teens? And if they could have met as teenagers, who do you think would have been the alpha teen?
Oh, Thomasina was, let's see, when she was about like 16 to 19, she was in business with her mother and a few other people. They were laundresses, and she was starting to understand that they were washing linens, among other things, for people of greater
There's multiple
wealth.
types of laundering.
Right. So, but there were also a lot of people with various stains on their sheets, and you're just like, it would be a shame if anyone found out about what you're doing. And so she started gaining wealth that way. She also started visiting wrestling rings. And she did absolutely for several decades. Has combated a really nasty gambling addiction. And that's particularly where it's been. She has been, like, she's seen a lot.
That wrestling show, you were just sitting there going like, can I bet? Can I bet? Can I
like,
do it in my head?
she constantly looks at, like, okay, there's this performance, and like, okay, is this place that's looking more for just like the show itself, or are they really about to like knock down, drag out? Like, are there people really spending money on this?
Is it wrestling or wrestling?
Right. So she wasn't terribly powerful yet. She was observant. She was starting to gain some wealth, but she was very wrong side of the tracks at that point. She loved her mother. Her mother was not a smart person at all. But she was gentle.
Bless her.
Right. She was gentle. She was kind. And she, like, more often than not, like, it was still a fairly contentious relationship for her, but she still very much, that was her person for a very long time. So it was a weird, like, late 1700s Gilmore Girls, like, what, I guess, like...
That's brilliant.
With
well done.
Slightly more crime.
A lot more crime. There was definitely some murders and bodies buried or out in the river.
Oh, look. Washing ladies at that time, laundresses at that time, would have had access to lye.
Yeah, among other stuff.
Lots of lye.
Or just bricks. Yeah. So yeah, she had friends, but not a lot if they didn't suit her her purposes if they weren't suddenly
Is
really
that
cool.
why she always wears gloves?
And,
Are her
because she was
hands
the
burned
longest.
from the lye soap?
No, they're just really dope looking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all.
That was very common at that time.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah. No, she hadn't been an actual laundress because she was embraced when she was 33.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some time there for her hands to regain some health there. But yeah, she didn't wash a lot of stuff herself for quite some time. But yeah, that was her teenage ship.
Mel would absolutely not have been the alpha, for sure. Mel lost her parents and she was an orphan very young.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to think like Cosette, right? From
Sure, yeah.
the one, she kind of got passed around and that's basically what her life was. That's, she was heavily sexually abused, and she spent a lot of time in that way being around more powerful men. So she had an opportunity to kind of learn dealings and that kind of thing in sort of a backhand sort of way. But she was learning as a teenager. She really did not actually come into her own until she was in her 20s, and at which point, again, she was also embraced in her 30s. And as a teenager, she would not have been somebody you'd want to be around. I mean, she was,
I feel like Thomasina and Mel as teenagers would have actually gotten along really well.
I think so too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Mel wasn't doing crimes intentionally. She was she was being victimized to do crimes.
I mean, she was very concerned with making new laws and just these laws only serve these people.
Yes,
who need
exactly.
these laws. And I would have been like, that sounds great. So does wealth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
on
no.
that note, we have actually run out of time. We still have some more questions left that I can send y'all after.
Oh,
that you can turn
yeah.
into OnlyFans post. But we are done for tonight. As a reminder, go to restedicon.net for our Renasherie Camarilla glasses. Go to atlbynight.net for our Lost Childer Play Guide. Go to patreon.com/atlbynight for our Patreon, where you can join our play-by-post server. And there should be a link in chat right now so that you can join our Discord and have chats with these lovely ladies after every episode and theorize and talk with other fans and make memes and fan art and fan creations. There's been some great videos.
There have.
Thank you so much for joining us for Blood Bonding, and I hope you have a lovely night. Good night.